favorite song. All right, so I'm your speaker today. Got Reverend Keith Norton. Thank you. So, I'll save it for the end, but sorry, work is calling me. Back in August, I announced that I was stepping down as senior minister after mulling it over and anguishing about it for many weeks. I knew in my mind it was the right decision in my heart and soul, but in my mind I felt like I had let people down. Realistically, I know I hadn't let Mary down, but that's what we're taught to think, right? It's a pride thing. So once I made the decision to step back, Sarah, my lovely spirit guide, helped me, actually gave me this sermon one night when I was going to bed. And for that, don't know that Sarah's one of my predominant spirit guides, and she was a kind of a spiritual guide to the Lincolns during their time in presidency, because Mary Todd Lincoln was very much into spiritualism, had seances in the White House. There's talk that Abraham Lincoln was involved in spiritualism, but he's never really proclaimed any religion as his own. So this whole sermon was given to me in a message in about 30 seconds. It was like, I literally got up in the middle of the night and wrote the steps down because I didn't want to forget them, because it was that powerful. And so that thought process of going through and making the decision to step back is a process that Sarah called the 7 steps of transformation, or she called them the 7 steps of re, because every step starts out with re. So let's get into it. 7 steps of transformation. Step 1, retreat. The word retreat always gets a bad rap. It conjures up the image of someone quitting, surrendering, or just being a coward. But it's far from that. The definition of retreat is, according to Merriam-Webster, as a verb, an act of going away, especially from something difficult, dangerous, or disagreeable. As a noun, we go on a retreat, the act of giving up and withdrawing, or a time away in a quiet and secluded place where you can relax. Pick any battle in history, and there's probably at least one time where troops retreated or fell back. Nothing wrong with retreating. It doesn't mean you're giving up or quitting. It just means you're removing yourself from that situation temporarily, and that's the key word, temporarily. Where did I go? Sometimes we just need to take a step back. And I will say that I was absolutely shocked that once I made the decision to step back and had officially announced it, there was an immediate sense of relief and a huge weight lifted, because I had dwelled on it for so long that it became such a huge burden on me, physically, mentally, on every level. So step 2, reflection. Once you've taken a step back, spend time reflecting on the situation you've been removed from or you've taken yourself out of. No matter how good or bad the situation was, use it as a learning experience. That's what life is a learning experience. Could I have handled the situation any differently? Sometimes the answer is just plain no. Accept the idea you did all you could and begin the process of moving on. Sometimes we end up in situations that sometimes we end up in situations that we just have to accept the outcome and move on from it. Remember, spirit's in control. Maybe there's a reason that it didn't work out. Forgive yourself and move on. If you realize that maybe you could have handled the situation differently, again, use that as a learning experience. If the answer is yes, or whether the answer is yes or no, accept the outcome and use it as a building block. Step 3, regroup. Once you've taken time to reflect on a situation, take the time to plan out the next move. This is the regrouping stage. To regroup means to step back or to stop for a short time and prepare yourself before you continuing doing something. Take as much time you need in this phase. This is stage where you build and lay the first building blocks or blocks of your transformation. formulating a new plan to move forward. This is what the troops do when they retreat. They retreat, reflect on the situation or talk it over, and regroup, and they regroup on what they need to do to overcome that situation before them. Step 4, re-energize. This step can be done in conjunction with step 3, regrouping, or by itself. After you're taking time to regroup, it's important to take time to rebuild your energy. Stressful situations lead to a weakened immune system. Take as much time to rebuild and regain your strength. Think of a monarch butterfly for a moment. They start out as caterpillars, then build a protective cocoon and enter a dormant state as part of their transformation. We too can surround ourselves with a protective cocoon in the form of a bubble of protective energy in which we want to re-energize ourselves and protect us from unwanted. Step 5, or stage 5, re-emerge. Just as a caterpillar that built a cocoon went into that dormant state and emerges only when the transformation is fully complete, know that when you emerge, you too will be transformed. Listen to your body, spirit guides, and re-energize and re-emerge only when you feel ready. You'll know it, because I've had to do it. You will be more beautiful than you were before. Stage 6 is redeem. After re-emerging as a re-energized person, it's time to redeem yourself. Again, just because you retreated doesn't mean you're a coward, doesn't mean you're surrendering, you're quitting. You're just stepping back to remove yourself from that situation. This is where you start to re-emerge and redeem yourself, stronger and better. You are permanently transformed. You are stronger and wiser than you were before on all levels. You will redeem yourself. Going back to the monarch for a moment, there's 2 amazing things about monarchs. First, that bright orange color we all know and love of the monarch actually serves as a warning to predators. When the monarch is a caterpillar, it eats milkweed, which makes it toxic. So caterpillars are bright red or yellow to indicate I'm toxic, but also the orange serves as a notice to predators, don't eat me because I am toxic. That's how they survive. So that bright orange color could be a warning to others, like, be magnificent and bright and know that you're protected. Second, that little tiny monarch, they winter in Mexico, 3,000 miles away. Now, one of the things I learned is that it's not one monarch flying to Mexico, it's over 2 or 3 generations. So each monarch will fly about 1,000 miles, lay eggs, hit caterpillars. There's a cycle that they go through to get down there. So, and actually the last generation of the summer is usually the strongest, because those are the ones that carry the weight and move to Mexico to, lay the eggs, develop caterpillars, come back. So again, they winter in Mexico 3,000 miles away. To cover the greatest distance, they actually have the ability to determine the best altitude to take advantage of the air currents so that they don't have to continually flap their wings. They conserve their energy. Monarchs have been spotted, believe it or not, riding air currents as high as 11,000 feet in the air by glider pilots. Wow. So they know which altitude can take them to make it the easiest journey for them and to conserve their energy. This is only possible because of the transformation that monarchs go through. When they're born, they don't have wings. They put themselves into the cocoon, they metamorphosis or transform, and develop the wings that carry them back to Mexico. When we take time to allow ourselves to be transformed, we too can soar high as we redeem ourselves. Stage 7, repeat. This isn't a one and done event. Repeat this process over and over and over as many times as you need to do so. In fact, it's a continually process through our lives. We're always put into different situations, whether it's work, life, family, whatever. We have to go through this on multiple levels, multiple times. But a few points that Sarah relayed to me about this, and Sarah did help me, this is pretty much channeled through Sarah. Always start with stage one. Don't ever start in the middle of the process. No matter how many times you've reflected on a situation, you have to start with stage one. So you go back into that retreat stage. And that doesn't mean that you have to fully retreat. You just step back and reevaluate and start all over again. This is like reflecting and regrouping in the middle of a battle, in the chaos of battle. Or, and Sarah added these this morning, which I thought were comical, like putting on your shoes before your socks. It doesn't work. Or putting your belt on before your pants. It doesn't work. When you take time to retreat and remove yourself from the situation, you can then process the info clearly. This also allows you to reflect on it again and again. The conclusion you came to yesterday may not be the same as the conclusion today, because you're in that different environment, you're in a different mindset, you're in a different day. There's an old, I think it's Buddhist saying that you can never touch the same water in the river twice. By starting with stage one, retreat, you are allowing yourself to go through the process with a completely blank slate. So in wrapping up today, I wanted to mention that I asked the other ministers if I could share and speak on today because I was so excited about this sermon. Normally we very rarely do the ministers ever speak and share it the same day, but this sermon made such an impact on me. It was so powerful that I wanted to deliver it on a day that I spoke or chaired. So this was a fun sermon to write, as it was 100% chaired or channeled from Sarah, using me as a platform to deliver it to you. The most incredible part, like I said, about this message is that I received from Sarah was that all this information was given to me in a matter of 30 seconds. I had it in my head, actually. I finished writing it about midnight last night, and it wasn't that I had to do a lot of research. It was just I had to clear my mind, sit there, and then just type. Hopefully somebody takes something away from the sermon, and we hope you all enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed putting it to paper so it could be delivered to you today. So in conclusion, be like the monarch and don't be afraid to put yourself in a protective cocoon that you can emerge more beautiful than you were before. Soar high, my friends. Namaste.